Anyone else?
Go ahead and answer that, somebody.
Well, for me,
Mine's on right
not.
now.
This is like the 6th time.
I've had it go down on me earlier this morning, but it came back up.
Because like I was fine, and now all of a sudden like I can't get in the Blackboard anymore.
That's why I told y'all to go through my lab's math as far as the math goes, because I knew that would happen. Okay. All right. So turn on my handy dandy. And y'all should be able to see my screen and my document cam. And I am recording, so. Wow, it's black. Let me start it over. Sometimes it does that. Oh my gosh. I'm not believing this. This is the kind of day I've had, people. Let me start it over. There. Now I started my document camera 3 times. And the first 2, it showed nothing but black. That's the kind of day I've been having. It's them Russians. That's what it is.
Yeah, they're hacking your computer.
That's it.
Yeah.
And they're changing 1 million votes or 1,000 votes into 1 million votes. That's what they're doing.
I think you mean it's the Chinese.
Oh, no, China's a real threat. Yeah, I don't make fun of China because that's a real threat. Even though some people love China, they're a real threat. But I'm not going to mention any names. Okay, so what do we need to go over that I haven't gone over? Well, we went over adding and subtracting fractions. And the main thing that I told you is make sure you can get the common denominator.
Yeah.
So that's what we spent the last couple of classes on. Because if I was to give you an adding or subtracting problem, it would be with that you would have to get a common denominator. So what's left? Well, multiplying and dividing. I'm going to go ahead and show you that because it's real simple. Multiplying and dividing fractions, you don't have to do much. With multiplying, you either reduce and do it, or do it and reduce. And what do you do with division? Well, there is no division. What do you do when you divide by a fraction?
Give up.
Anybody know?
No.
What y'all laughing about?
I said give up.
Give up. I like that. Miss Brindle, I like that. We're going to get some t-shirts made up. What do you do when you come to a problem? Give up. Quit. All right. Why do I put an X through division? Because you multiply by the what? Reciprocal. I hope I spell that right. I always spelled it wrong. Somebody look it up for me. Okay? I always spell it wrong. Reciprocal. That's called the flip-flop. Some people call it the inverse. Flip-flop, inverse. Okay, it has several names. So, if you know how to multiply, then you know how to divide. So let's go ahead and try some. Let's go ahead and do 1/3 divided by 5/6. That's a division problem because that fraction bar, and I'm going to highlight that fraction bar because some of y'all forget this. I'm going to turn my video off. Since y'all are being antisocial, I'm going to be antisocial. All right. That fraction bar means division. I once had a student one time that was studying for the triple E or the praxis or the standardized test, the T's or whatever. And they had a problem on there and it was like this and they didn't know what to do. This is nothing but this. Okay? That's all that is. Now, which way do we read?
Left or right?
We read left to right. So where is the operation being done here? It's right there. So you can't do anything out here in front of this 1/3. You've got to change that negative because that division symbol because it says multiply by the reciprocal. So you can't do anything out front here. So that means you got to change that division into a multiplication symbol. And then what does flip-flop mean?
Maybe.
Means turn
You
it
You just
upside
flip
down.
it, you put the bottom on top and the top.
There you
on
go. And now you have a multiplication problem. And now I'm going to show you multiplication because technically that's all you have to do with fractions, multiply. Because there is no division because you multiply by the reciprocal. So here, there's two ways to do this problem. There's two ways to do a multiply fractions problem. One, you do it and reduce. So 1/3 times 6/5. 1 times 6 is 6. 3 times 5 is 15. And now we just did it. Now we got to what? Reduce. Well, 3 will go into 6 and 15. And you know that really well because you just got over doing 5.1 and you know what numbers will go into what numbers. Isn't it amazing how this works out? Divide by 3. Divide by 3. 3/3 is 1. So you're basically dividing by 1. And that's equal to 2/5. Now that's the first way you can do multiplication. The second way, I'm going to highlight with red because you got to be careful. Can you do the second way all the time? No. Not all the time. Because sometimes it doesn't work, and then you have to revert back to this way. All right, so sometimes number 2 will not work, and you have to go back and do it the original way. Does everybody understand what I just said?
Yes.
This one is reduce and do it.
Shouldn't you
Let's
just do it
take
by the
our
first?
same problem. Somebody say something?
Yes, sir. Shouldn't you just do it by the first time then, and just forsaken the second time?
That's called keeping it simple, yes. But some people like to use the second way, and the second way does help with algebra. Okay? If you learn how to use the second method, it will help you more in algebra than it will in math. Okay? So, and yes, math is a branch. Mathematics is a branch of mathematics in general. Basic math, you call it basic math. This is basic math. It is a branch of mathematics. Just like algebra and geometry, statistics, they're all branches of mathematics. All right, so here I'm going to take my handy dandy red pen. And remember, I can only cancel, you can only cancel diagonally and vertically with fractions and multiplication. You can only cancel diagonally and vertically with multiplying fractions. So I can't cancel 3 into 1 and I can't cancel 5 into 6 because 1, they don't work. Now, if this was a 4/2, then I would change it to 2 over 1. But this one, there's nothing you can do. So I'm going to look diagonally. Well, 1 and 5, they're both prime, so that doesn't help. Is 3 and 6? 6 is composite, and 3 is a multiple of 6. So I'm going to say 3 will go into 3 one time. 3 will go into 6 2 times. And now do it. 1 times 2 is 2. And 1 times 5 is 5. And that's the way you multiply fractions. Now remember, when you multiply, you just go ahead and multiply. When you divide, you multiply by the reciprocal.
So you only flip it around when you're dividing.
Exactly. So let's do a narrative. I'm going to do 2, and one's going to be multiplication and one's going to be division. So the multiplication, 2/3 multiplied by 1/2. And then down here, number 2, I'm going to take 3/2 divided by 1/2. Now, the reason I write it like that is that way when you see it on a standardized test, you'll know what to do. You'll rewrite it 3/2 divided by 1/2. So that way you won't get confused. All right, give you a second to do both of them. Give you a few seconds to do both of them. Somebody wrote chat. I got to check a chat over here also. Did I spell it wrong? It's pro. Thank you. It's pro. I knew I spelled it wrong. Recipro. I always want to put an I there. Recipro. Now I'm going to put that in my brain. Pro. That's how I learned how to spell business, busyness, and Wednesday, Wednesday. So I've got to remember Recipro. Recipro. Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
No biggie.
Okay, Miss Parton, you sent me a message on Teams. I probably am going to do that problem because if you sent it, then probably somebody else has the same problem. So I always go over problems, even if y'all do figure them out. I do go over them because usually somebody else has that same problem.
All right, that sounds, yeah.
I'd be glad to. All right, so the first one, you can do 2 ways. You can do 2 times 1 is 2. And then you can do 3 times 2 is 6. And then get 1/3. Or you can cancel and get, that's a 1 and that's a 1. 1 times 1 is 1. And 3 times 1 is 3. So either way, your answer is 1/3. Down here, well, I can't divide, so I'm going to put an X through that, and that's going to be meaning I can't do that. So I've got to rewrite it and change that to a multiplication symbol. And the 2's do what? The 2's cancel, and you're left with 3 over 1, which is, now that's the kind of problem that you'll have on a standardized test. And what will you do when you get to that answer of 3? What do some people do? Come on, say what you think. Oh, that's wrong.
They'll put a 3 over 1.
Yeah, there's no way I could divide 2 fractions and get a whole number. Well, what's $1.50 times 2?
3.
$3, Hubert. That's right, class. Thanks for the interaction. What's 3 halves? That's $1.50.
Right.
And when you divide by half, you multiply by 2. So $1.50 times 2 is $3. I have had people erase this and start over when they got to 3 because they said to themselves, I'm dividing 2 fractions. There's no way I'm going to get a whole number. Don't start thinking. Do what you're told to do and don't think sometimes. And I don't want to say don't think, but what I mean is don't make it more difficult. You're not here to reinvent the wheel. You're here to put the wheel on so the wagon will roll. You're here to get this answer. You're not here to rethink how to do mathematics to get that answer. Now, 3 halves divided by 1/2. You multiply by the reciprocal, which means 2 over 1. 3 times 2 divided by 2 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 over 1 is 3. Either way, you're going to get 3. Now, those are 2 good examples of what might be on my test or a standardized test. Now, we're going to get to the long ones in just a minute. I got to get through everything else before I get to those. So that's how you multiply and divide fractions. Now, let's talk about a few other things. I'm going to go ahead and squeeze 5.2 in here. And then I'm going to go back to 5.3. 5.2 is adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing signed numbers. And I don't get into any laws. I just tell you to treat, when adding and subtracting signed numbers, treat like money. Why do I say treat it like money? Because what's the most important thing to everybody in this classroom? Time and money. Time and money. And if you don't say money is not important to you, then I guess you just sit around playing video games and you don't pay your bills. Okay, because the people that want to pay their bills, money's important to them. That's important to pay your bills. All right. So negative, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this with animation. Negative means you what? You owe. Positive, got to get green because I want to be animated here. Green means you what? Have. I usually use black. It's usually black, red and black, but the reason I use green is because I write in black, and that's why I use green. And then I'm going to put in another color. Let's go with a blue. Anytime 2 negatives are together, they form a what?
Positive.
They form a positive. 2 negatives together form a positive. I'm going to show you a trick I learned in the war. You can take these two negatives right here, and I'm going to take my orange highlighter. Watch this. Look at there. All right. That's the only rules you have to remember when adding and subtracting signed numbers. All right. Now I'm going to ask y'all to give me an example of a homework problem or any problem that you would like, adding or subtracting two signed numbers, and I can apply Hubert's rule right here to it. Give me one. Okay, Hubert, I'll give you one.
50.
What?
50.
I didn't understand you.
I said 50.
Well, you got to have me. I got to have other numbers. You got to have.
Okay,
Let's
so
say -2.
50 divided by 100.
No, adding and subtracting. Okay, -2 minus 3. All right, here we go. You ready? You owe $2. You owe $3. If you owe somebody $2 and you owe another person $3, what's the outcome?
You lose $5.
You owe $5. Now, unless you don't know what in the world's going on, you don't owe two people money and come out not owing. That's how you do it. Simple as that. I don't care. You apply these 3 rules right here and you think of money, you won't go wrong. Let's do another one. 3 minus a -2. Well, first thing I'm going to do is grab my handy dandy orange marker and I'm going to turn that into a positive. And somebody tell me what 3 plus 2 is.
5.
5.
Piece of cake. Then why do people have trouble with positives and negatives? Because they've been taught 15 different rules and you only got to know what?
3.
You only got to know 3. Let's try another one. -6 plus 8. Well, you owe $6. You have, oops, I used the wrong color. I suck. Well, the way my day's going, ugh. You have $8. Now let's say you owe Walmart $6 and you have $8 in your pocket. You pay the cashier. Somebody tell me what's the result?
You have
You
$2
got
left.
$2.
You have $2 in your pocket. Now, I don't see how you can make this difficult, but some people can break an anvil with a banana, and some people can make this difficult. Try one more. Let's switch these and make this a 4 minus 7. Well, this 4 doesn't have anything in front of it, so it's assumed to be a what? Assumed to be a positive. It doesn't have anything in front of it. So that means you have 4 and you owe 7. Well, let's say you owe your sister $7 and you give her 4. What's the outcome?
-3.
You still owe her what? 3. Now, again, how can y'all make that difficult? That's how you do adding and subtracting. And I'm guaranteeing you there's somebody out there right now going, well, I was always told to do this and do that and do this and do that. And that's all you got to do. Those 3 right there. All right, well, what about multiplying and dividing? Well, just remember jumper cables. There's your black cable. And there's your red cable. The black cable has a alligator clip on the back right there, and an alligator clip right here, meaning to put it on a, and your red has an alligator clip right here and an alligator clip right here, to put on the battery. What happens when you jump off a vehicle? And let's draw the vehicle now. Let me take my battery here. Battery.
Your screen's frozen for me.
Well, it'll catch up. It'll take a second or two. Here's your live battery. Tell me if it doesn't catch up. It should catch up. Just give it a few seconds. And there's your dead battery. Did it catch up?
No, I'm still on the old problems you were doing.
All right, let me send it back out and see if it'll refresh. Usually it catches up, but that depends on your individual, internet. All right, sending out again. See if that works.
Yeah, okay, I see what you got now.
Okay, now to jump off a battery, how are you supposed to do it? Whoa, wait a minute. Let's say this is the red post, positive post, and this is the negative post. This is the positive post. If you look on top of any battery, you're going to see a positive and a negative. Usually the positive is depicted with the red cable, and a negative is depicted with a black cable. One is positive, the other one is ground. Now, what do you do to jump off a battery?
Just connect the cables to the according negative and positive.
According to, yeah. And I noticed that today's people that want to start a revolution, they don't even know how to start a lawnmower. They don't even know how to hook up jumper cables. So anyway, you hook up red to red. So you put your red cable on there, and it goes to the red cable here. So these are like colors. Would y'all say that red goes on red? I can hear my grandfather saying that now. Red goes on red. Red goes on hot. I can hear him say that because he's the one that taught me how to jump off something, him and my father. So black cable goes on what? Black. Now I'm going to tell you that you could hook them up backwards and put black on red, and you keep the colors together, they're fine. But I'm not going to get into that because that will confuse you. So from now on, you hook red on red, black on black. And that's how you jump a car off. Now, why in the world am I showing you how to jump a car off when I should be showing you how to multiply and do signs? Well, for one thing, this will teach you how to jump a car off if you ever get stranded, because I know dang well there's somebody out there that don't know how to do it. All right. The second reason I'm showing you how to do it is because light colors no sparks. If you hook up the right colors, are you going to get all kind of sparks? No. You might get a little spark because depending on how dead the other battery is. If the battery's really dead, you're going to get a little bit of a spark when you touch it, but none to be concerned with. All right? But what happens if you want us to cross these? It'd blow your battery up, it'd melt the cables, and probably blow your good battery up here also, as well as blow up your alternator, which charges the battery. Okay? So mixed colors, if you mix the red and the black, that's bad. So you can write over here, unlike colors, Bad. Unlike colors will cause damage to your car. Now, what's that got to do with multiplying and dividing signs? Same thing. If you multiply or divide signs, all you got to remember is 2 rules. Does anybody know those rules? Does anybody know those rules? Like or what? Positive and unlike or what?
Negative.
If I mix up these colors, something bad is going to happen, right? If I have unlike signs, something bad is going to happen. I get a negative. If I keep my colors onto the same colors and I keep my like colors, nothing happens, which is positive. You don't want anything to happen that would blow your car up. Okay? So what about -2 times +3? Well, you got black and red. That's bad. What about -2 and -2? Well, here you hook black to black. So that's positive. What about -12 over -3? Black to black, positive. What about 16 divided by -4? We got red to black, bad. I bet you $1 nobody's taught you that before with jumper cables, have they?
Nope.
And I bet it'll stick now. And I bet some of y'all have learned how to jump your car off.
I did.
Yep, that's it. Now you go out and pop your hood today and you look on your battery if you can find it, because nowadays they hide your battery so that way you have to go to a technician to get to get things done to it. And you have to spend $150 to $300 just to find your battery. What did you say?
I said I'm scared to jump my car off because I'm scared I'm gonna get electrocuted.
Now you know how to do it. Now, do you hook up the dead battery first or the live battery first? Well, it's best to hook up the dead battery first. I'll tell you why. Because if a battery is damaged and you don't know it's damaged, it can give off sulfuric acid. It can give off sulfuric gas. And if you hook up the dead battery with the spark, it could ignite that gas and blow up. You're talking about like a firecracker, okay? It's not gonna blow up like an atomic bomb, but it's gonna, blow up. It's gonna do it. It's like a firecracker in a bucket. It'll crack the top of sometimes it blows the top of the battery off. Sometimes it does, but it's not good. But usually you have to have an old battery that's been in there for like forever. But that's how you jump your car off. And it doesn't electrocute you because that's direct current. Direct current doesn't electrocute you. It may bite you a little bit, but it's not going to electrocute you. Any questions on this?
When I was taught how to jump batteries, I was told that one of the black cables should go on metal. Is that not true?
Well, ground. If you don't have a ground, yes. But that's if you don't have a ground. Usually the battery ground will suffice. Some people don't use the battery. I don't know why they can't get to it. You could actually, if you couldn't get to the battery, the battery cable, the negative, then you could hook it up to a piece of the block or the block of the engine or whatever. Yes.
You got 3 minutes.
Say again?
Yeah. 3 minutes is 1:12.
Heck, gummit. 3 minutes. All right. Now there's only one other thing, or two other things I need to cover, and that is mixed number. Make sure you know how to do a mixed number. 2 3/5, and change 3/2 into a mixed number. Now, a mixed number is only used for one thing. Does anybody know? Mixed numbers are only used for units. I can't write today. Units of what? Measure. That's the only reason we have them. So if you had a teacher in the past tell you it was reducing, that's not. It's not reducing. The only time you use mixed numbers is with units of measure. And the directions ask you to put it in terms of mixed numbers. That's the only reason we have them. Because nobody ever walks into a I don't know, and asks for 3/2 feet of rope. But you will ask for 2.5 feet of rope. But nobody's ever going to ask for 3/2 feet of rope. All right, that's why you use mixed numbers. Now you got to be able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide them also. So what is the first thing you do? To add, subtract, multiply, add, subtract, multiply, and divide mixed numbers, you just turn them back into improper fractions like this and follow the rules that we just followed. 2 3/5, just remember the big C. 2 times 5 plus 3. 2 times 5 is
10.
10 plus 3 is 13, and you put it over 5. And that's how you go from a mixed number to an improper fraction. Now, to go from an improper fraction to a mixed number, you just divide. 2 will go into 3. 2 will go into 3 1 time, sorry. 1 times 2 is 2. Subtract 1 remainder, 1/2. And that's equal to 1 1/2. And that's how you change a mixed number. And the only time you need to do this is with this. Units of measure, or the directions tell you to. Now, there'll be times when you'll ask me a question, and I'll leave it. I'll say the answer is 3/2. And you'll say, well, don't you have to change that to a mixed number? And I'll say, no. There's not a unit of measurement. The directions say, don't, and that's where a lot of these teachers in K through 12 tell students wrong. They tell you that you have to change that to a mixed number. No, you don't. The only time you need a mixed number is right here. The only time you need a mixed number is when somebody tells you to change it to a mixed number, or the question is asking about units of measure. Okay. Now, everybody is responsible. 5.1 through 5.3 homework. Now, there is one other thing I didn't show y'all, but I know you're going to send me a homework problem that has it. So I'm going to go ahead and assign the homework and tell you that everybody should have 5.1 through 5.3 worked on by Wednesday and questions sent by Wednesday. And I'll go over your question, Ms. Parton, when I go over those questions Wednesday. So I'm going to shut off the handy dandy recorder. And did anybody show up late?